I just say I was shopping the other day. Now, I know this is a little thing, but I was looking at the apples, and they're all from South Africa. And I thought, well, I want to buy some from Britain, because they don't have to fly all the way around the world then.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find any.
You couldn't find any apples from Britain?
No.
Really?
No.
Well,
Oh,
yes, of course it is the wrong season. Well, yeah, I don't... See, I'm not against technology per se in terms of what it brings to us. It brings us many benefits and can bring the entire world many benefits, like food you grow here could be given to the third world, for example. Food, sometimes in Australia, we burn our wheat rather than send it overseas because it costs too much to send it somewhere and there's not enough return. And as a result, they finish up burning the crops or feeding it to cattle instead. And this is all sad decisions that we make because we're unwilling to make a different choice that's more loving, right? And I feel that we can also design technology that enables this process rather than using more and more and more and more and more of the world's resources. We are clever enough to do these things, but the problem is we spend so much of our money on designing ways to destroy ourselves that there's very little left to design ways to help us. Almost 1/3 of the Western world economies are based upon arms production and arms manufacture and weaponry and defence. And if you add all up that money all up, and in particular get all the scientists that are working on how to destroy ourselves and put them into places of how to help us, all the physicists, all the scientists, all the chemists, all focused in a direction of assistance of the world, then you could see there'd be a huge change in the way, in what happens in the world. And we could get apples from Africa and get it in a way that's efficient and economical and benefits both the person in Africa and us. But unfortunately, we're not going to do that until we learn how to use our will in a loving direction. It always gets back down to these decisions that we make. And this is why it's such an important topic. You see, the way myself and Mary feel it is, God here on earth has given us a choice. And the choice is, exercise your will in a loving direction and see what the results will be. Or, exercise your will in an unloving direction and see what the results will be. Now, we as humanity have investigated exhaustively, I believe, but perhaps not as exhaustively as most of us need, the use of our will in an unloving direction. Because we've had pain and suffering for now, like millennia, and that pain and suffering is growing. It's so large now that 1/3 of our entire population on Earth struggles to get enough to eat every day. That's a lot of suffering. And yet we still don't have enough motivation to change the use of our will. And this is something that we need to all consider. And for us in the Western world in particular, we need to consider it. Because what we decide to do here affects not just one other person in the poorer countries of the world, but it can affect hundreds of people. Just one person's individual choice can affect hundreds of people in the poorer countries, because what they need to live on is much less than what we spend usually in a week on entertainment, right? What they need. So this gets down to our choices again, whether we're going to choose things to do things lovingly or not. But it has to be a voluntary choice. It can't be forced upon us, because then somebody's manipulating our will in another direction, which would also be unloving. It has to be something that we choose to do voluntarily. So God is basically saying to us, volunteer to use your will in a loving way, and then you will see beautiful results. At the moment, most of us are volunteering to use our will in some unloving ways. And of course, we're going to have negative results, not only for ourselves, but also for other countries. And I don't believe that technology is the problem. I believe that our use of our will is the problem.